what have you learned about interviewing that I might be able to use on this podcast that other people might be able to use for all their various projects and whatnot?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I love interviewing. I mean, basically, like I've done tons of Rolling Stone cover story. I've basically kind of definitely any musician and most actors. I probably interviewed them at some point. So yeah, it's interesting. A Rolling Stone or an article or a book interview is different because you have time to play with, right? So that's like in a way, there's the waiting game. I can talk about all the details of that, and you can choose which one to talk about. But then I got a show at Sirius Radio, and I just did the show as an experiment or a challenge to think, can I get the material I get with someone in a Rolling Stone interview? Can I get that in just a 1 hour amount of time that interview takes? And so I actually created a bunch of techniques for the live interview that helped me get to that core really quickly. So do you want to talk about the live interview or the press?
Let's talk about the live interview because I think it will translate. I think the principles are probably quite flexible. So why don't you talk about the live interview with some of the techniques that you've developed and are using?
We'll start with prep, and this is for any interview. It's tough to do an interview or to want to do a really, really great interview. I mean, you and I have an awesome rapport, and we can just kind of riff and talk about anything. But when I'm preparing for an interview with somebody, I will go research everything they've ever done. I'll try to read if there's any books on them. If they're musicians, I'll listen to everything they've ever done. I'll try to watch every interview because I just want to make myself an expert in them. And then I'll write down as many questions as I can think of. Maybe for some, say, well, when I did Rolling Stone interviews, I'll write down hundreds of questions, literally, and then I'll study them like I'm studying for an exam, and I'll mark the ones that I really want to make sure I ask. And then I'll get to meet them. I'll take those questions, I'll fold them up, I'll put them in my back pocket, and I'll never look at them again. And then I'll let it flow, but I'll know, what do I need to go? Where do I need to go? Here's what they've said, but what have they never said? What about them can I show that's a side of them that's never been seen by anybody else? And I'll know, the conversation will never hit a dead point. It'll feel completely natural to them, but I'll know where I'm shaping and structuring it. And every now and then, if I have a tough one, like I had to do Taylor Lautner for Rolling Stone, who was like that, the werewolf kid in Twilight or something.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I actually thought it was an assignment for someone else, so I said yes. I didn't realize who it was until afterward, and then I realized I got to talk to this guy. And so my goal always as a writer is just to be interesting. If you bore someone, you've committed to me the cardinal sin of writing. So I would actually walk him into a place where I knew I had a series of 5 or 10 questions that would lead him somewhere really fun or funny or entertaining or interesting or similar. So there's a part of it where you're actually, the little segments where I'll almost be like a lawyer where you're walking someone down a chain that's going to end up with a unique revelation.
So what would be an example or examples of some of those questions? Or, so you can answer this a couple different ways. That or just questions that are not person specific, hey, tell us about this incident, that are just good kind of can openers for getting people to riff and tell you something interesting.
Yeah, what's funny, like at one point I thought of making a list of that. Someone once, writer Rolling Stone once interviewed Bob Dylan, and he once asked Bob Dylan, who tells you when you're wrong? And Bob Dylan got upset and left the interview. I thought that's a good question, and I use that question a lot. But you know what I did? I was going to try and do those kind of canned questions, like those cards you get in a game that are fun, always good questions. But what I always think about is, here's what I'm thinking about is, now what do I want to know, or what does the audience want to know? I'm trying to, it's again that art of empathy. I really want to think about how, from their perspective, is life lived? How can I get inside their head and understand what are the things that they wrestle with or they struggle with? Like the conversation we're having as writers is easy to empathize because it's easy for me to talk about it, and you're hitting kind of a nerve with me because these are the things I talk about. If you wanted to talk to me about, is the game good or bad, you're going to get a horrible interview because you're doing two things. One is, maybe I'm interpreting that as judgment. Right. 2 is it's just sort of a stock answer. 3 is I'm a defensive and that's going to be boring. But the questions you're asking are the things that I wrestle with and the things I think about, the things I probably talked about today and yesterday. So even say I'm interviewing a celebrity and there's a scandal, or they want to find out they're dating somebody or something, like I'm not going to say, are you dating that person? I'm going to say, what's it like for you when everyone's always trying to speculate about who you're dating, and you have your own private life that you want to keep. So I'm empathizing with how they see the question, how they see their reality, not how, whatever TMZ sees their reality.
Right. And at the same time, you're sort of you're like softballing the topic in if they want to choose, if they want to hit it, if they want to swing for it, they can go for it.
Yeah, the real trick, and I've given away too much, but the real trick, and this is again kind of celebrity interviewing type of stuff, the real trick, if there's a topic that's like that you really want, but they don't want to give or share, you wait for them to bring it up. Once they've mentioned it, it's like they've opened the door to it. If you want to get it, it's almost, it's like anything. It's like the game. It's like getting funding. It's like dating. It's like if there's something you want from someone, they're not going to want to give it to you And so the idea is, so you wait for them to bring up the elephant in the room.